John Kirby, spokesman for the White House, responds to the whole U.A.P. issue. And we also have some other really juicy UFO news to go over today. So let's get into it. Welcome to another UFO News Roundup. This is Jack. Get in here with Cosmic Road. I talk about UFOs and the paranormal. Please hit like, please subscribe, share on social media, and let me know what you think in the comments below. All right, without any further delay, let's just see what the spokesperson for the White House has to say about UFOs.
Don, I want to ask you about something that's starting to gain steam here in Washington, which is UAPs, unidentified aerial phenomena.
Yes,
there's
I know
going to be a House Oversight Committee hearing at the end of this month. Senator Schumer has put forth an amendment to the NDAA that is modeled after the JFK Assassination Records Collection Act. What level of transparency does the Biden administration believe that the American public deserves and should have as it relates to UAPs?
Well, without speaking to proposed legislation, I won't do that. As you know, the Pentagon has stood up an entire organization to help collate and coordinate the reporting and analysis of sightings of UAP across the military. Before that, there wasn't really a coordinated, integrated effort to do that. And of course, we will always want to be as transparent with members of Congress and with the American people as we can, considering national security concerns.
This used to get laughed at for quite some time, for years and
What
decades.
gets laughed at?
The idea of Congress taking this up. I mean, Gerald Ford talked about this as a congressman back in 1966, and here we are, what is that, 60 years later, give or take. Is this a legitimate issue? Does the administration believe that getting to the bottom of these sightings in the air, is it a real concern? Is it a real legitimate issue as you see it?
Yeah. I mean, we wouldn't have stood up an organization at the Pentagon to analyze and try to collect and coordinate the way these sightings are reported if we didn't take it seriously. Of course we do. I mean, some of these phenomena we know have already had an impact on our training ranges. For when pilots are out trying to do training in the air and they see these things, they're not sure what they are, and it can have an impact on their ability to perfect their skills. So it already had an impact here, and we just want to better understand it. Now, we're not saying what they are or what they're not. We're saying that there's something our pilots are seeing. We're saying it has had an effect on some of our training operations, and so we want to get to the bottom of it. We want to understand it better. So, yes.
Do you believe these whistleblowers that have come forward?
I'm not going to talk about individual whistleblowers.
Thank you so much, John. I have an Iran question and an Afghanistan question.
So there you go. Kirby taking this issue actually very seriously, not snickering, not laughing as we've seen others do in the past, the very recent past. I think that is very encouraging, and it is very interesting when you consider what is going on. Chuck Schumer would be an ally of the White House, and it is Chuck Schumer who is pushing this forward in the Senate. So that is really intriguing to me, that we seem to have this coordinated effort, in Congress and the executive branch to possibly have some form of disclosure. This is really amazing. However, I do have to highlight his earlier comment in the first half of his statement when he says how important transparency is, while not revealing anything. So par for the course there, but overall very encouraging. And I am, on the one hand, I'm a little bit nervous by how they are allowing this to go forward. If this is going to be some form of disclosure, some sort of planned disclosure in a way, if it has gotten the go-ahead from the higher-ups, then you have to wonder if this is going to be a very controlled disclosure, and if there could be some false information mixed in with the true information. But speaking about disclosure and thoughts revolving around disclosure, in what's going on in Washington right now, Bryce Zabel has some intriguing comments. Let's listen.
Got to be a reason why the powers that be in Washington, D.C. are starting to say we need to actually say the words out loud, and we need to get language in right now to get this taken care of. And I'm concerned, Ross, that at the end of the day, the only thing that would make a politician do that and act in that sort of enhanced way where they're in a hurry is that there's some bad news involved in this. And I don't know exactly what it is. And I know that you don't know exactly what it is. People are talking. It's hard to sort out what the sources mean or don't mean. But, as I said, Chuck Schumer was and has been a cautious man in many cases. And I don't think he'd be talking like this and pushing this if he didn't think there was a fire behind his back pushing him to do so.
Look, I've got a pretty clear idea of what the government knows, and I can understand why they're moving to expedite. Yes, there is a constraint of time. The government knows that it really does have to tell the truth to the public after years of treating the subject with derision.
Okay, so what does that mean, Ross? Bryce is under the impression there is a fire behind Chuck Schumer to get this out. And Ross is saying, yes, there is. There is a fire. There is a pressure to get this information out. And according to Ross, it is not going to be false information mixed in with real information. They are not only under some sort of time constraint to get this out quickly, but also honestly. He says they are under pressure to tell the truth. What does Ross know? What is going on? Now, I've heard, whispers that there's a failsafe that one documentary filmmaker with UFO material has, basically some really juicy footage that he is going to drop if Congress fails to disclose. Now, who that documentary filmmaker is, it probably either has to be James Fox or Jeremy Corbell, judging by the level of sources that Jeremy has in the past, where it seems like people like Chris Mellon have passed on to him some really interesting footage, that some of it has been authenticated by the Pentagon. Some of it they have tried to walk back because it was too juicy. I'm guessing it's Jeremy Corbell, but who knows? But it's likely Jeremy has something that he's holding, extorting Congress, if you will, to release this information. But it could be something entirely different. That is something that has been making the rounds, that somebody does have this juicy footage that they are holding as a failsafe. However, I'm not sure if that's what Ross is talking about or not. He could be talking about something entirely different. I mean, are we talking about, the beings coming down and disclosing themselves? Or what do you think Ross is talking about? Bryce says there is a fire behind Chuck Schumer. And there might be. But what form does that fire take? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. All of this leads into the new article from The Hill. We have yet another mainstream outlet reporting on the U.A.P. legislation. Non-human intelligence, Schumer proposes stunning new UFO legislation. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer, along with a bipartisan group of 5 other senators, introduced extraordinary legislation on July 13th, suggesting that the U.S. government or private contractors may secretly possess recovered UFOs and biological evidence of living or deceased non-human intelligence. So we're actually getting the idea of living beings as well. I find that very interesting. It's not just bodies, as I have reported on many times. The control group is working with the beings, and they have been for a while. I doubt we're going to get that, but there is evidence of living beings, so I think that's really intriguing. According to the legislation, non-human intelligence is defined as any sentient, intelligent, non-human life form, regardless of nature or ultimate origin, which may be presumed responsible for UFOs. I actually went over that definition in my live stream the other day when I was discussing this new legislation. But in case you missed that, yes, in the new UFO legislation, there's a definition for aliens. Yeah, right? And non-human intelligence. Because that is the new phrase, right? Because there is an understanding that we're not necessarily just talking about aliens. We could be talking about other dimensionals, time travelers, ultra-terrestrials. There are no limits to the beings that we are potentially interacting with. And that is becoming a mainstream idea that is now even encoded in our legislation, in law. That's amazing, guys. That's amazing. Given the decades-long stigma associated with the UFO topic, such stunning language is not included in bipartisan congressional legislation on a mere whim, let alone proposed by the Senate's top lawmaker. That's right. There's a fire behind old Chuck, right? And behind Congress as a whole, apparently. According to a statement accompanying the legislation, the 2017 disclosure of a previously unknown government UFO analysis program spurred a broad congressional investigation of U.A.P. The ongoing investigation uncovered a vast web of individuals and groups claiming knowledge of secret UAP-related programs and information. Well, they weren't claiming knowledge. They were working on reverse engineering UFOs and in recovering them from sites all around the world, possibly even ancient archaeological sites. So this is breaking news. This is a new article from The Hill. Yet more mainstream awareness and dissemination of this topic in this very exciting new legislation that might uncover the control group. And meanwhile, we have the hearings going on and more people talking about that as well. And new evidence or, new whispers that there is a fire behind these congressional actions and that there is actually a time limit involved and even pressure on these guys to tell the truth. So what do you think all of that means? Who is exerting this pressure? Is it the beings? Is it some other outside agency? Is it some, faction within the government? Some pro-disclosure faction within the control group itself? Or is it, Jeremy Corbell with some juicy footage that is damning in some way? Or is it something entirely different? Let me know your thoughts on what is driving what seems to be some form of a mechanism of disclosure. It's crazy, guys. I can't wait to see where this goes. I love it. I'm excited, I'm pumped, and I will be reporting on the news as I see it. If you see it before I do, please let me know. And if you've enjoyed this video, please give me a big thumbs up. I sure would appreciate it. Smash the subscribe button and the bell to be notified of future videos. You don't want to miss a thing. Join me on social media. There's Facebook and Twitter links below. I would love to see you guys there. And if you could share this video on social media, that'd be super helpful. There are plenty of other videos on the channel to check out, and I'll see you next time. This is Jack with Cosmic Roads, signing out.